Have you ever wondered why the NPCs in your D&D world feel dead? Like something is missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it. I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons since I was a kid in the 90s, and I used to obsess over these questions. What makes an NPC feel real? What are the mistakes I need to avoid when building them? How do I make characters my players will actually care about? For years, I struggled to figure this out. I made every mistake in the book, but after a lot of error, I finally understood what I was doing wrong. And today, I'll show you exactly how to fix your NPCs so they feel alive, engaging, and unforgettable by teaching you 3 simple techniques you'll be able to use right away in your own games. By the end of this video, you will have learned the biggest NPC mistakes everyone makes and how to avoid them, a step-by-step method to make your players obsess over your NPCs, and most importantly, how to turn NPC interactions into unforgettable story moments. But instead of just telling you about these techniques, I'll show them in action with a custom NPC I created just for this video, Sergeant Thaddeus Mason. Okay, so let's start with our first technique. And to make it clear, I'm going to ask you to think about the last time you walked into a busy restaurant. Be honest. Did the staff drop everything to serve you immediately? I'm guessing probably not, right? They were finishing orders or cleaning tables. Their world didn't stop just because you entered the place. Yet, in most D&D games, every NPC seems to just be waiting for players to walk in. I like to call our first technique active priorities, and it's the foundation you need to master to make your NPCs feel alive. Let me show you how it works with the guy I was telling you about, Sweet Sergeant Mason. The training yard rings with a clash of wooden swords. Sergeant Mason watches a young recruit's shield work with cold focus. Carol, that shield's not for show! Unless you want broken ribs by morning. Mason doesn't even glance at you as you ask about the night patrol attacks the captain told you to investigate. Investigating now? Ha! Funny. Everyone cares once my men are already dead. Here, our NPC's priority isn't the players, it's training his recruits. This gives us immediate depths. We have established that he has responsibilities beyond the players. His focus on training reveals his character, and the interrupted pattern creates natural tension. And it also gives players ideas they could use to earn his attention. They could show combat expertise or offer to help with training, for example. To use this first technique in your own games, simply follow these 3 simple steps. 1. Before an NPC interaction, simply decide what were they doing before the players arrived, why is that task important to them, and what would make them pause that task. 2. Then you show their priority through a specific action. Not just they're busy, but they're teaching a nervous recruit, or they're rushing to deliver medicine, for example. And 3. You create a clear way for players to earn attention. They could share their priority, or help with their task, or prove they understand its importance through action as well. This first technique is cool. Alone, it will probably already have a massive impact on the feel of your NPCs. It makes them dynamic and suggests they have their own lives and motivations. But getting the attention of your NPCs should just be the first step for your players. And this brings us to our second technique. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you shared a deep, slightly shameful secret with someone you just met? Yeah, how about never? Yet in D&D, because we're told time and time again, to get the story moving, we tend to create NPCs that just talk a lot. Our second technique is something I call earned trust, and it's the art of making information feel valuable by making players work for it. Let's return to Sergeant Mason. He unrolls a worn map of the sewers. Before we discuss the attacks, tell me what you see here. Players study the map. Patrol routes? Yup. He taps several lines. Each X represents a change we made after learning a hard lesson paid for in blood. Last time I shared patrol information with outsiders, I ended up writing condolence letters to soldiers' families. Our NPC is not just being difficult here. I'm sure those players are definitely not murder hobos and they just want to save the world. But Mason, this has been heard before, so he is testing the players' observation skills, showing the cost of past mistakes, and creating investment through resistance. But he's also giving players a chance to prove themselves worthy of trust. For example, they could show respect for the fallen, or demonstrate tactical knowledge once again, or share their own experiences with loss. Okay, but how do you actually use this in your game? Well, here are 3 simple steps you can follow. 1. Give each important NPC one very important piece of information meeting those 3 criteria. It should be something players need, that cost the NPC to learn, and that they're afraid to share. 2, then you create 3 clear ways to earn their trust. Players could demonstrate shared values. They could help solve a current problem or show an understanding of their fears. And 3, finally, when you do reveal the piece of information, you make it meaningful. Information should change how the players see the situation. It should deepen their relationship with the NPC, and the trust gained should matter in future interactions. Okay, now the players have your NPC's trust. Great. They probably already feel, let's say, less dead, which is great. So we made some progress already, but relationships aren't just about getting information. So this brings us to our 3rd technique. Think about any great mystery story. The butler doesn't just announce they're the killer in chapter 1. Each revelation makes you reinterpret everything that came before. So how come in most D&D games, once the players earn an NPC's trust, they tell them every secret they have in one go? It doesn't make sense. So we're going to fix this with our 3rd technique. I call it layered secrets, or how to make sure each revelation leads to deeper mysteries and more storytelling opportunities. Let's go back to Sergeant Mason for this. The guardhouse is dark, except for a single candle. Mason spreads out a set of unofficial patrol logs this time. The attack patterns are too precise. They know our rotations, even the backup routes. Those are changes I've only discussed in the captain's weekly briefings. He pauses, studying your reaction. They only hit the routes he modified. What? Weren't the players sent by the captain? This single revelation does 3 important things. 1, it answers one question, how the attackers know patrol routes. 2, it creates a new question, is the captain involved? And 3, it gives players an immediate choice to make, confront the captain or investigate secretly. Instead of just giving information, Mason has shared a secret that transforms the entire quest. So to use this in your game, first, for each important NPC, plan one significant secret they won't reveal immediately. And then, make sure the secret changes how players see the situation, creates a new direction for investigation, and requires players to make a meaningful choice. This simple approach keeps your NPCs valuable throughout the campaign instead of being one-time information sources. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a lot of prep work. Well, actually, I think it makes improvisation easier. When players visit an unexpected shop, most DMs panic and default to something like, the shopkeeper is behind the counter, he is willing to sell you things. Hey, look what we have here, another dead NPC. With this framework, you don't need extra prep, you just follow a mental shortcut. 1. Active priority. The shopkeeper is arguing with a supplier, which gives instant purpose. Then you have earned trust. She eyes your weapons suspiciously. There is your built-in tension. And then you have your layered secret. She has ledgers hidden under the counter, which is a story hook if you need one. These aren't really extra steps. They're anchors that eliminate blank page panic and make your NPCs feel real on the spot. I've found the structure actually speeds up improvisation while making NPCs way more compelling. Okay, but what if my players miss important information because now my NPCs aren't immediately helpful like they used to? Well, simple solution. Make sure you have multiple paths to critical information. One NPC might need his trust to be earned, but another one might share it out of rivalry. And also, physical evidence can provide backup. Let me be clear. Not every NPC needs this kind of depth. Think of it like a TV show. You have your main cast, and you give them the full technique treatment. Then, there is the supporting cast. Here, just a couple of these techniques will do the trick. And finally, background characters. Quick sketch here. Maybe just one technique to start, and then you build up if you need to. So, your NPCs feel alive now, but does your world, even with the most engaging characters, something still might feel off? Ever had players deeply connect with a cool NPC, then sprint through your carefully designed dungeon without a second glance? Here's the secret. NPCs are only half the equation. If your players rush without exploring, The problem isn't them, it's the world itself. I learned this the hard way, but once I discovered why dungeons feel forgettable, my players started exploring them like they were real. Click on this video next to find out why your D&D dungeons are boring and how to fix them.